Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Your Vibes Entertainment. Your Vibes Entertainment is Middle Tennessee's premier hospitality entertainment consulting company. If you or your business are in need of a mobile DJ, group entertainment like trivia, karaoke, or bingo, or you just need a professional MC to help coordinate your event's day of logistics, we have you covered. It's no work and all play when you hire Your Vibes Entertainment. You can trust us to bring top-of-the-line sound equipment, lighting, and a professional attitude to any event you are hosting. If you are interested in boosting your revenue, showcasing your company, or just want to provide high-vibe entertainment for your family, friends, employees, or clients, please contact us on Facebook or Instagram at Your Vibes Entertainment. Shoot us an email at yventertainmentservicesllc@gmail.com or reach out to the owner Michael directly at 615-330-3236. Thanks, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends. And 3, 2, 1... 0, we are off. This is close to the 50th episode. I'm going to mark it as the 50th episode. I did have some cancellations, but we're having the party this weekend, and all in all, I've had 50 episodes. So you're the milestone marker here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you reached out, and of course I said yes. Will and I have been friends for quite some time. I think we're doing this right where everything started. Remember, you and Brittany walked in looking for some insurance, and here we are.
Here we are today.
Here we are today, right?
Yes, sir.
So I've got Mr. Will Pinkerton in here, and I don't know what to say about him. He's been all over the place. Will is a man of many traits and has done a lot in the past in a lot of different industries, and from landscape to barbecue to food truck to restaurant to back road rider to fisherman, you just get into a little bit of everything, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, I guess kind of before we get into the details of those things, why don't you just kind of give us a heads up as far as who you are and where you came from, and we'll just kind of, go back and forth from there and sidetrack as much as we need to.
Yeah. Okay. So this year actually marks my 10-year anniversary for my entrepreneur journey. So May of 2012 is when Tennessee Grasshopper started. So I started cutting grass and had a couple little hardscape projects that I had lined up to get me kicked off, and the business grew pretty quick from Tennessee Grasshopper to Tennessee Outdoor Innovations, where we did a lot of outdoor living spaces, from outdoor kitchens, patios, etc. And grew the business to a point to where it outgrew me and what I was capable of handling, and opened up a boutique during the middle of all that. You remember
right.
Stitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tennessee Outdoor Innovations, we grew to the point where we were working out of the house, and Brittany's grandparents was gracious enough to let us borrow his barn, and I had a corner in it. But we had outgrew it, and I'm not saying we outgrew our welcome at that with her granddad, but we moved to Burns, have found a place to rent there in Burns, and it had like 3 or 4 offices in the front, and I kept all the time asking myself that we were there. We were there for a couple years. I was like, man, what do we need to be doing to be turning some money in these office places? I never thought about renting them out or, something simple. I never thought of anything simple. It was always way bigger than that. So Stitched Embroidery and Boutique, the wife asked for an embroidery machine for Christmas one year. That was a mistake. I turned that embroidery machine into a business opportunity. And didn't know anything about the fashion industry, but we just dove right in, man. And it took more money than we had at
Sure.
the time. And it slowly just kind of fizzled out. We ended up having to make a lot of different transitions during that time. That's when Smoking Willies kind of came in. Provision was cooking pizzas for Anchor Building Supply in Burns. They had a outdoor display that we had built for them to kind of show off their product, and we did a lot with them. So they had a customer appreciation weekend and cooked pizzas for everybody. And then a week or two after this, I had a dream that I was selling pizzas on the roadside, and I incorporated barbecue into my pizzas, and we had wood-fired barbecue pizzas. Well, this was sometime in May, and then in first weekend of June, we roll out Smoking Willies, and I bought our first smoker. Started cooking. That we cooked for learned how to cook in 3 weeks is what it was, and never always enjoyed cooking, but never understood how to cook for people, if that makes sense. Yep. I've always just cooked for the family,
right?
So it was pretty cool learning how to cook for multiple people. And but we started with the barbecue and just cooking on the weekends, and it was a dream that we had, and ended up being a dream that bailed us out from a shitty situation that I put ourselves in with growing the business, the landscape business, too big. We grew over $1 million in 3 years. We were pushing $1.2 million in sales, not bring home. That was just
product gross.
Just turning that.
Still though,
yeah,
$1 million business is a milestone for sure.
It was. I had a friend of mine when I first started the business. Asked me, he was like, "You got to have a goal." And I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about?" He's like, "You got to have a goal." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I want to do $1 million in sales." That was the only goal I had. And 3 years in, we hit $1 million in sales, but didn't understand
how the fuck you
I didn't understand how I got there. Didn't understand how to manage it once I got there. So dialing it back, and we've learned a lot of lessons with it, and then taking it into the barbecue business has been a blessing. It was a hard time. Didn't go to college. I had a buddy of mine tell me, he's like, "Well, you just made a pretty good chunk investment towards your college tuition and lessons that you have learned growing this business." And that's how you have to look at it. You can't look at it as it's a failure.
Sure.
You have to look at it as learning lessons and take those lessons and move forward with them. So, you just want me to keep rolling barbecue, or how?
Sure,
you
yeah. So you started the catering, and when Will had come in here, we were bebopping back and forth on some things, and of course we went through all his ventures and exited some ventures and started up, and then he calls me. He's like, "I got a smoker." I'm like, "Okay, let's do this," and started slinging some barbecue, and then right off the bat. Figured I'd give Will a test, a true test of his skills, whether he was ready for it or not. When I asked him, he sure as hell was ready when he showed up that day. We had a big Ducks Unlimited banquet, that we were prepping for 400 people. I don't know what it ended up like 250 showed up or something.
It was still a good turnout though.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a good turnout. I think we were up against a big fight night or something that week. And did it at the cave. Will had plenty of food and plenty of servers, and we ran everybody through that line, and everybody was just pumped about how good the damn food was.
Shoot, yeah, man, that was
great.
So June's when we started the business, and I think it was just a couple of months in. When was the Delta banquet? Maybe August, September, time frame. But Yeah, you asked me if we could do it. It's like, well, yeah, we can do that. I just didn't know how, but we had a little bit of time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, learning how to cook for that many people and to get right on your numbers and to make sure that you're always, thinking of everything that can happen, and you don't know what can happen when you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for our first catering job to do, we planned, I think it was either 350 or 400.
Yeah.
But to plan for that and to kill it with 250, 300 people that showed up. It was a fun night. So the most we have catered for is 450.
Nice.
And we was actually just blessed with that opportunity this past winter during Christmas. So that was pretty cool. We had a Christmas dinner for Oliver Technologies in Hornwald.
Cool.
Feeding 450 people.
Did that go pretty well?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So what are some, in the catering part of it, especially, working with venues or banquets that, weddings are one thing because you kind of really have a good idea of who's showing up. But sometimes for an event, like you just kind of got to wing it sometimes. So what are,
every time.
Right. I guess, so what are kind of a couple of the big lessons you've learned when, catering for an event of some sort of, maybe an unpredictable type of attendance type event? Let's say we're going to have 300 people. Do you kind of prep for 320 or 340, something like that? Or
I don't know. I really haven't figured it out yet. But our quickest sellout that we've had was at the Burns Barbecue Bash. We way underestimated that event. That was a good bash. Yeah, but that was an awesome event, man. But that was probably, one of my biggest hurts. You look back and it's like, well, how much money did I leave on the table?
Yeah.
Because we were done early that day. We were closing up. I had people calling me at 8:00 that night, like, I came to see you and you're closed up. I'm like, well, sorry, man, we ran out of food. we did the best we could.
Sit in the restaurant, yeah. Pay me to sit at a table if you want to.
So, but yeah, we actually did the competition. I think it was like, I forget how many people were in the competition, but we ended up doing 18th, I think is what our overall was. So cool experience for our first competition, and running the competition and the event and the restaurant at the same time. So juggling all three was a fun time.
Yeah. But you got it done. You got it over with behind you. Yeah, and people... that's the thing about selling out is that, you didn't lose money.
We didn't. Well, we did. If you look at it, we left it on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be the last year that she does that. And it's
I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah.
This year. Be a great event.
Yeah. So kind of push the catering. I know we've kept you coming back for all the duck stuff ever since. Appreciate it very much as well, too, because everybody's always happy. Man, those barbecue or those smoked bologna.
Yeah, the
with
barbecue
the pickles,
sliders with pickle, yeah.
Oh, baby. Get it to town.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So then you jumped into the restaurant a couple years ago. Bought the rented the old Rusty Fish Hook.
Yeah, in Perry County.
Yeah.
Yep. In 22, or not 22, we're in 22 now. It was in 2020, April is when we signed the lease. April.
It needed a little work in there, didn't it?
And it still needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cleaned up the kitchen. It came with all the stuff. I mean, it was turnkey for the most part.
Blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
It was one of those times on a Tuesday night, coming home from working in Hornwald, the transmission goes out in my truck. From Hornwald, coming back from Hornwald, driving 35 miles an hour the whole way home. It was not a fun night. And this was in March, or I think it was the end of February, 1st of March. And then the next week, we ended up finding a place for rent that was within reach, that had everything in it that we needed, all the way down from the forks and spoons to salt and pepper shakers, you name it, it had it in it. There's been several people in and out of that location over the past few years. It's just an old building. So our lease is up on it in April, and I believe we're going to let it just roll out and go a different direction and stick with catering and events for the next couple of years is our plan.
So what was it that, I know, working food trucks and pulling a smoker around is one thing, but what was it, that made you want to make that change, from just being a road warrior to settling into kind of a brick and mortar? Is it just something you felt like you wanted to check off your list, or?
Well, the restaurant was something that we, the wife and I, was fine with if it happened. So we did look for opportunities, but I don't know if we were quite ready for it. And the timing was perfect. So it was like, why not?
Sure. So
everything lined up for a reason. The transmission bill for the truck was going to be $3,600. And we had, I think, $1,500 set aside at the time. Coming out of winter, barbecue business, people don't eat barbecue, man. People, ever since we have started the food truck, wintertime slows down. Just after the holidays. At least we have seen that. I don't know if other restaurants or what. And it may be me. I may be the one slowing down during that time and not want to hustle. And I don't even remember where I was going with that.
Why you went into the restaurant? There's a transmission issue.
Yep, transmission goes out in the truck. A week later, restaurant comes available that had everything we needed in it and opened it up in a month. And the day that we signed the lease on the restaurant we came home that evening and Bill Lee had a 1 o'clock announcement. That's right. And that's when he had announced no dine-in. So
perfect timing.
So our first month that we opened up in Perry County, a town which we had a bigger following in Perry County than we thought. Because we had been traveling to Hornwald and setting up and fast-paced parking lot for, almost a year and a half, 2 years before we opened the restaurant. So we had a bigger following in Perry County than we realized. But our first week that we opened, we had planned on running the food truck and the restaurant. And that first day that we opened, man, we got our asses handed to us. And it's like, we everything we cooked for the food truck and the restaurant, thinking that we had it figured out, we cooked and sold everything at the restaurant. We never left with the food truck.
Wow.
And still had a sellout day on our first day open.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So how long did the no dine-in last for y'all?
It was just a month.
Okay.
And then it went to 50% capacity, I think is what it was, which was good because it allowed us to ease into the dining experience. So one of the things that I first got into waiting tables, we were running everything on tickets. The server would write everything down on a ticket and take it back to the kitchen, and we would try to make sense of it. You know what I mean? It's like, what in the hell did that?
Hold on a minute.
What is this? And it's like, I really do not know what that would be. So I started searching point of sale systems because I saw that we needed a way to get orders from the table to the kitchen as quickly as possible and to be able to make as less errors as possible. So we in June bought a point of sale system and started running toast and handheld ordering from the table. It was pretty cool concept. I think Perry County, it took them a little bit to get used to it. But, we wanted to be as fast and efficient as we could be, and create as
a seamless,
smooth running restaurant without us. Our plans is to eventually create systems and put systems in place so that ordinary people can create extraordinary results.
Sure. We
just haven't documented those results yet in a fashion to be able to deliver them to ordinary people.
Package them up. Yeah, exactly. And there's not much in Perry County, So, how many, there was only probably 6 or 8 restaurants around you guys, really.
There's actually more restaurants in Perry County than you realize. When you take into consideration your gas station restaurants and, little mom and pops, I think there's like 14 or 15 little different little restaurants right there in Perry County.
Okay.
Yeah, right there in Linden.
Do you have, was there much barbecue competition?
There's, there's hens and hogs there in Perry County. I never went to be competition or to have them as competition. I went down there to do my thing. Yeah. So I don't think they do fish and everybody kept saying, you got to do fish. I was like, well, why now do I want to do fish? I'm a barbecue guy. Yeah. You got to do fish. I was like, no. Why? I don't understand it. Help me.
Help me understand this. Yeah. People are just used to kind of what they're used to.
They are. Yeah. It was the rusty fish hook.
Sure.
And when people would come in, it's like, well, where's the fish? I was like, well,
they're not here anymore.
So pretty much the first year we ran the restaurant, we had the rusty fish hook signs still on the building. Mm-hmm. Hell, we didn't have any money when we started. And signs, getting those actual panels replaced, I think it was like $4,000. And it's like, that ain't something that you just pull out of your pocket and be like, okay, cool, let's swap these signs out. So we worked with a local guy, Bug-Eyed Signs, there in Perry County, and just got some banners to just throw over them. We actually had a tip pig that we kept up front, and we labeled it sign money, and people would throw money in there. Cool. And that's what bought our signs. Our customers, our fans, bought our banners for us. So that was pretty cool. So we saved that money up as quick as we could, got banners put on. The city of Linden, and they were gracious enough to help us out, come out with their box truck or whatever you call it.
Cherry picker or something?
Yeah, I don't know. A little
something with a bucket on it.
Yeah, bucket truck. That's what bucket truck.
We'll figure it out. We just keep talking.
I'm scared as heights, man. I don't do heights very well, and I got up in that thing to help Don out, man. Woo!
Willie needs down.
Feeling. Let me down. Yeah, it was fun though.
Yeah, you play a role in your own development there. So restaurant experience. It was a couple years, and you're kind of letting it go. Yeah. So did it satisfy the itch, or is this just? I know we were kind of talking before, and we can kind of transition into some other things that are different than just official business, but. Will hustles his ass off. I've been around him for a long time. And he's always doing something. And, we kind of got into the conversation of kind of, what's life all about, and you can't really figure that out if you're just constantly grinding, yeah. Just constantly like checking lists off and making sure people are paid and making sure you've got enough money to pay this or pay that or, enough food for everybody and everybody's satisfied and everybody's happy. And you check up at the end of the day and you're like, I'm not fulfilled, Yeah. Sometimes you are, it fulfills you when you fulfill other people. But obviously, I put something on Facebook the other day that, sometimes, even to live is an act of courage. It's to do you as a person of who you are is in today's society especially is an act of courage. This cancel culture bullshit we've got going on as far as like you have to do this certain thing, and there's a lot of those motivational speakers out there too that if you can, sure they're good in snippets, but if you get too deep into them, it's just like, damn, you kind of feel like you're not doing enough sometimes, or you do too much just to keep up with what everybody's telling you that you have to do in order to be successful. And, yep. And I've heard a couple people say, mention that the definition of success needs to drastically be rewritten as far as what it really means.
So what do you think it is?
What do I think success is?
Yep.
I think that success is first, personal fulfillment, and then second, overflowing enough to where you can help others be fulfilled.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Service to others.
Over service to self. Yeah. I think, as we had said earlier, that story about the big house and the movie director We had mentioned there was a pretty famous movie director at this big rich guy's house, and somebody had mentioned to him, this guy who owns this house made more money last week than you have all year. And the movie director, replied back and said, well, this guy, he says, I've got one thing this guy doesn't, and that's enough. I've got enough for me and for my family, and I feel fulfilled. I feel successful in my endeavors, and some days are better than, some days are better, some days are worse. It's obviously an ebb and flow in life, really, as far as constantly figuring things out. How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about where you are and how you're treating other people? And you just wake up and let the universe do what it does. That's the one thing, is being able to wake up and being comfortable no matter what comes your way with going with the flow.
Yep. Being fluid with the day.
Yeah. What about you?
Forward progression towards a worthy ideal. I'm an Earl Nightingale guy.
Or was it Jordan Peterson that said every person in their life needs to pursue something that they personally find meaningful?
Meaningful, yeah.
And meaningful isn't always, bliss or joy or happiness, or it's that it's not a constant flat line of like, this is great. Meaningful is something that sucks sometimes, but you feel like that's your calling. You're meant to do that. That's something that when you wake up out of bed, you're like, all right, here we go, baby. This is me, and I'm gonna do it. Be damned what everybody else says.
Still trying to figure that out too.
Yeah, sure. And I was watching. Who was it? I can't remember who was saying it, but it was that the one of the points in life is to live here and experience as much as possible. Like, to just go through as many experiences as you most possibly could. Just take it all in. Not, that's, you could kind of circle back to almost the definition of what mainstream society calls ADHD or ADD. To me, is a superpower. Like, if you can learn to kind of hone that in and focus on all that information coming into your brain, you don't have to do one thing all the time, but if you can just kind of compartmentalize some things, it's extremely helpful in life. And in my mind, there's not enough people that take the courage to step out and try new things. I don't think you could ever really truly be satisfied if you're just kind of staying in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I always want to reach outside.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
That way you can grow.
Yeah, because that's where the growth happens, within the chaos, right? You can't grow when everything's just constantly orderly.
Normal.
Everything's
like,
just
what fun would that
normal.
be?
Yeah, none at all.
It's like, I've over the years of being an entrepreneur, I've understood that I've got to be a problem solver, and that's been one of my next business card I get. That's what the title is going to be. It's going to be Will Pinkerton, problem solver.
Problem solver.
Because you have to learn to take in so many different things on a daily basis as an entrepreneur trying to grow your business and your family. There's always things coming at you that you have to understand how to look at it as not as a problem. You got to look at it as like, okay, well, what do I need to do to keep this from happening again? Why does this keep happening? Why is this the third time you're coming to me with this? So,
and that's where the processes come into place. I think we were both in that same book discussion, right? Or did you do it after the E-Myth?
Yeah, I didn't get in on that. That's right after we opened the restaurant and moved to Perry
Oh, that's
County.
right.
And,
that's
I didn't
right.
get in on that one.
But the processes part of that, of just building something, build it to sell it for the most part, but you don't necessarily have to sell it, but build it to where if you were to ever make a decision to sell it, it's ready to be sold. In a nice little box of here's how all this stuff works.
You're talking about the E-Myth class.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I was in on that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've got to get back onto those studies. That's one of the things that I've kind of have strayed away from. And I need to document. So you asked me earlier about is the restaurant, is this...
Yes, back to that. Yeah, we got off track.
Have I got my has it satisfied my...
Your itch.
No, it hasn't. but it has gave me a lot of information to move forward with for when the timing is right. So I've been working with a kind of a personal mentor I've been blessed with this past year.
Well, did this person just come into your life?
He has, and right time, right place, and it's been a super cool guy to just talk to.
Cool.
And he has, pointed out that priorities as you grow are very important at understanding what your priorities are. And my priority has always been family, but I've never made it a priority.
Sure.
I've always made hustling and grinding a priority, and making sure my kids have always had everything I didn't have.
Sure.
So this past year, I'm understanding a little bit more about what my priorities are. So my kids, my daughter just turned 15. We've got a driver on us now. I've got my night trip to Sonic ice cream driver. I don't have to beg the wife now. Say, hey, sweetie, you want some ice cream? So, but yeah, super proud of her. She just turned 15, and my son's 13, going on 14. So they're growing up fast. So I want to spend these next few years being a dad.
Yeah.
And spending some time with them.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a vital age too. That kind of early teen age is huge because there's a lot of development that goes on in those years, and a lot of separation kind of between being a kid and maturing and into an adult. It's a tender time in a kid's life, and in today's society, there's so many mixed messages, that come along with family just in general, and sacrifices that have to be made. And, if you want to give your kids everything in the world, the time you spend with them has to be just quality time, whether it's 20 minutes or an hour. But, if you want to make a bunch of money, you got to work. But I think, as we both know, that work turns into a lot of unforeseen circumstances that come up outside of family. Mm-hmm. It's not just like, okay, here's work. As you do that, outside forces start to send you more either problems that need to be solved, or blessings that you feel obligated to almost take on. To that point to where. It's a tender balance between that, and I'm learning it as well too. Anna Claire is a fiery lady, as most may have heard on the podcast last week, and she's big into family as well too. And sometimes there's those tensions of I'm trying to grow this business, or it's a lot of work on the weekends kind of thing, but, it brings you back down to earth. Sometimes you just kind of sit there and really be present with your children.
Yep.
That's
living in the present moment.
That's such a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as important if it was easy, though. I mean, because the past is just a memory and the future is just a thought. None of it's actually real.
Yeah.
Except now. Now and now and now and now, and that's it. And I'm here with you, and we're just kicking it. I haven't talked to you in forever.
Yeah, man, we've been busy.
Yeah.
The restaurant has. It's been fun.
Sometimes sometimes it feels like it's sucking your soul, but sometimes it's a blessing as well too. And so you're just going with the flow of life at the moment, and do you have any idea as to, or any inclination as to where the path may lead you, as far as you're just going to pick up some catering events and hang out?
Yeah, well, so we still plan on we've got it, which we've got the Delta Banquet coming up in February, but we're still planning on taking February off for the most part. If something comes to us, we're not going to turn it down.
Sure.
But start working again in March.
Yeah.
And just sticking with catering, and be selective with what we do as well.
Yeah, that's really important.
Just not going to go chase a 15 or a 15-person catering job every other day. We want to target the 50 to 100 people, on up to 50, 500 people. That's kind of what we're wanting to kind of max ourselves out at, because you got to have the infrastructure to be able to do when catering. So when we catered for Oliver's, it was the wife peeled 110 or 120 pounds of taters to make mashed potatoes.
God.
So just imagine peeling
That's a lot of potatoes.
120 pounds of taters, man. So you just when you start cooking for volume, you got
pretty damn good at it.
Infrastructure to be able to. Oh yeah, my wife, she
can peel a tater like nobody's business.
So when we first started, we worked side by side. She's been my rock, through all of this, and we've worked side by side growing this business, and it hasn't been the easiest. But it's been fun too. So when we first started with taters, we would document, if she'll peel 10 pounds and I'll peel 10, do 10 pounds, and we'll see who the fastest. Well, my technique was better, or her technique. Man, she would spank my ass every time, dude. It's not even. And I can, I like competition.
Sure.
But no, I can't peel taters like my wife does.
Brittany, the tater peeling queen.
Yes. So we had an employee that worked with us when we were running the food truck. We were brought on. He was our first or second employee that we brought on. I think he was our first employee. And we needed to peel 50 pounds of taters. And he threw a fit about having to peel 50 pounds of taters. And I'm like, are you for real? And here my wife is a few years later peeling 110 pounds and never once, fussed or moaned about it.
So how many potatoes is 150 pounds of potatoes, or 100 pounds?
Well, we do a 40 count.
Okay.
Potatoes. So there's 40 taters in a box.
Okay.
So that's a 50-pound box. So she would have peeled 80 to 100 potatoes, but they're big taters.
Sure.
You got to think 40 of them in a 50-pound box. So they're a little over a pound a piece. Those were the taters that we used for our Willie Good tater. Oh yeah, good stuff.
But a lot of your food's named after you as well.
Well, we tried to be fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I like to see people smile.
Sure.
Just your smile now and your laugh.
So silly. Special Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? You've been through a lot. You're soul searching at the moment. You've got a mentor of sorts, so that's extremely productive. I'm hoping one, and there may be one already in my life right now, and I just don't realize it. I've got a couple maybe that I think we all just kind of lean on each other. You know how it goes. Once you kind of get in a group of business owners, everybody's got their own problems, and some are similar, some are different, and some have been through some and some haven't, kind of thing. And I've looked into getting like a true growth coach to pay for. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see paying somebody to tell me.
Sure,
but
there's obviously a big market out there for it.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And people
do it and do well with it.
All over the place with it.
I'm a big fan, as I know that you are, is that the universe will provide. And they always say, here's the big thing is they say, find what you love to do, and then find someone who does that or something similar to that and reach out to them. Okay. And then shadow them. Gary Vee's like, go work for him for free for 3 months, or do something for them for free, be there, go get coffee or whatever, just be around that person. And, the 9 to 5 is insurance. I've been in it for almost 8 years now. I'm around insurance people all day. I used to go to a lot of the networking stuff and with all insurance agents, and I enjoy the business. It puts me around other business owners. It allows me to help people. I can speak the language, but the entertainment side that I've kind of picked up to go in tandem with that, because I'm more or less in the hospitality space. I haven't really been able to put my finger on somebody that does just that. I've got karaoke, I've got trivia, I've got bingo, and a DJ as well too. So somebody maybe just in this area. So I'm just kind of waiting. Somebody will show up at some point, because there's a lot of damn chaos that goes on with a lot of that. Live events, winging live events with equipment and lights and people and requests, and there's a lot of in the moment decisions that have to be made. So just waiting, and you chase things every now and then when the opportunity comes, but then you kind of wait to receive things as well too at the same time.
Where focus goes, energy flows.
Absolutely.
And
it works. Like, it absolutely works. It's the whole subconscious programming of the mind, and just repetition, and thinking if you want to be in better shape, not thinking I don't want to be fat, and I'd like to be in better shape. I'd like to be muscular or fit or whatever it may be, and that's quite the transformation as well too.
Mindset.
Not just mindset, it's habitual mindset. Is being okay with whatever's going on, because that things are going to work out the way that they need to work out.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, the universe has got a plan one way or the other.
One way or the other, and it's going to keep constantly reminding you, like, here's where you need to go, but don't think of these things that the way the society tells you to think about them. It's hard to see why the dots are connecting sometimes.
Yeah, start with the end in mind,
yeah,
kind of deal, and but you might not always end up where you want to end up. I gave a speech. There's a girl here in Dixon that is an adjunct teacher. She's working on her doctorate at Austin Peay. She owns a little boutique. Shout out to Stephanie. She comes to the networking stuff. So she'd asked me to speak at Austin Peay, and most that know me is one of my life goals is people that I surround myself with is to either be the order or the chaos in their day. If their day's going great, I'm going to shake it up a little bit with a little bit of chaos. If their day's going shitty, I try to provide a little bit of order and structure somehow. With Stephanie, for the most part, I am the chaos in her life. I do provide order occasionally, but I shake things up in her life every now and then. And she was very nervous about having me come speak to her class. She told me there was a mask mandate on Austin Peay's campus, and I said, "Well, I'm not wearing a mask." She said, "Well, then you can't come, or I'm going to get in trouble." I'm like, "Okay." I was like, "Then I'm going to buy a full hazmat suit." I'm going to come in a hazmat suit. Unfortunately, it was about a 2-week delay, and she told me I had to wear a mask about a week before, and I ended up wearing a mask and giving my speech. But the speech was kind of about what we're talking about now, is just how kind of life comes at you, and you never really know what's going to happen, but just to kind of keep your head up along the way. And to her surprise, I brought in The Places You Will Go by Dr. Seuss and read a couple pages from that. Greatest book in my mind, I say ever written. It's my top 3 favorite books. And the waiting place is what the 3 or 4 pages that I wrote, waiting for the time to change, or the rain to go, or someone to show, or waiting for the grass to grow, or the paint to dry, or whatever it may be. The most dreadful place is the waiting place. Yeah, it's just sitting around waiting on things, something to change for you to feel differently about what's going on, instead of feeling good about how everything's going on and knowing that things are either going to come to you or you're going to be able to be given an opportunity to go pursue those things. But just sitting around waiting on your external circumstances to do something different than they're already doing to give you the motivation to continue down a path of which you want to travel. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I guess for you, kind of along the way, I know that you and I have kind of had some discussions along these lines as well too. But who are some? We've both kind of been through a lot of people that I don't know, because I know we've discussed mutual people that we kind of follow and that we kind of read and we listen to occasionally. But who are some people kind of, I guess, that you you pay attention to, and maybe you study their habits or things like that to kind of the way that Will lives his life, every day?
Well, a lot of my mentors have been YouTube.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
as is most of the world.
Earl Nightingale has been, a pretty big mentor of mine, and Napoleon Hill, and then they've kind of Think and Grow Rich. I was led to read that book, so that's kind of where I guess my mindset really started to change, was reading that book. I've had a friend that The Secret, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
They do you can go on YouTube and pull it up, and there's like an hour something long video on it. And I had watched back. This has been several years ago, and I'd watched it a couple of times, but I'd never really gotten into the personal development side of growing me until my shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, where am I fucking up? What do I need to fix? I've got myself here. What do I do to get out?
Sure.
So Think and Grow Rich was a big stepping stone for me to change my mindset. And then Earl Nightingale, rolled into studying a lot with Earl Nightingale. Tony Robbins, love Tony Robbins. He's a little crazy, I think, a little too exciting for me sometimes.
Like, whoa,
yeah, he is. He's and Les Brown. I just like to listen to Les Brown.
Yeah.
But I've gotten to where I gotta, I guess, be careful of taking in too much.
Absolutely.
Because, like you were talking about earlier, you get to where you're like, well, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing this good enough? Am I good enough? So sometimes I think listening to those things can be put you in a negative mindset almost to a point. So I got to be careful with how much you take in.
Absolutely. Moderation in all things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, binge watching that stuff, I caught myself doing it. It was just like all day. Those little clickbait titles like, listen to this every morning to change your life, or this 3-minute video will make you Superman, whatever it may be.
Let's fly.
Yeah, exactly. And I just caught myself in this loop of just like constant dopamine drips of different messages of all these, and you get this rah, but it never really none of that shit matters. None of these practices, none of these methods, none of these systems, none of that shit, none of it at all, motivational stuff matters, nor will it ever resonate unless you have a picture of who you are as a person. Because you could run in the quicksand for your whole life. Grind, quicksand, not ever go anywhere. And you wonder why. You're just like, it just seems not you in particular, but people a lot of times put too much effort into things. They force life. It's like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. You're going to grind off the edges. You're going to chip it. You're going to fuck up the hole. Yeah. I mean, no matter how many ways you turn it, that square peg is never going to fit properly in that round hole. But, if you're the square peg, you got to find your square hole. Where the whole world within itself is a system. It's a symbiotic ecosystem of human and machine and AI and biological interactions on a daily basis, and to work against the forces of nature is detrimental to progress. And a lot of people will listen to all that rah stuff and take it in and be ready at the start line. They've taken their pre-workout and they're all jacked up, but they've got no workout plan. They don't. They're just going to go in there and start slinging weights around and have no really particular goal in mind, because the universe will lead you wherever you want to go. But if you've got no idea where you
still have to have an idea.
Absolutely. It could be basic. But don't be tied to the end goal.
Absolutely.
Don't be tied to it.
Yeah.
Because you're not ever going to go anywhere. Absolutely. You're never going to go anywhere unless you've got somewhere to go. Now, whether that place you're going is where you're going to end up, that's a whole different thing. But at least go somewhere.
Forward progression.
Yeah. Like typing something into a GPS, it's like, make a U-turn, make a U-turn, make a U-turn. Well, I don't want to make a damn U-turn right now. I want to take this little side route, and maybe I'll end up back over there. Maybe I won't, but at least you've got something in mind. I've got a little bit in mind, and people say that vision boards can be somewhat a hindrance to progress, but that and my goals are ever rotating and changing. They're always.
I've got a vision board.
Yeah,
got pinned up things I want to do and
things you want to have.
I want to buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it's and it's just neat. And I've also got like you were saying earlier is a visioned accomplished folder. So as soon as something comes true, like these mics, I had these mics and these arms and this pictures of it all on my vision board, and within 6 months, so I started flipping whiskey barrels just for shit's sake. I went and bought some, and some lady had like 200. I was like, you make pretty good money doing this? She was like, oh yeah. It's enough for a couple vacations a year. I was like, okay. So I found a broker, bought 30 of them, flipped them within a month. I was like, all right, cool. Bought 30 more, flipped them within 3 months. I was like, all right, cool. Bought 30 more. Took me almost 10 months to flip them. I was like, oh, well, this is weird. But I'm not going to worry about it. I don't care. Like I've made enough to where I got my investment back, and I just needed to make that profit, but I was in really no hurry to do it. So I was pretty calm about it. And next thing I know, somebody comes along and wants 15, and they're in the music industry. And I was like, and they sell things. And I was like, would you want to do a trade? Can you get a deal on some mics and stuff? I'll trade you these for mics and stands and monitor. He was like, yeah.
There was a reason why you waited 10 months for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be patient.
Absolutely.
Be
patient. I knew what I wanted. How the what and the why, the why is one of the main reasons, but the kind of the what is in there, but the how is never really known. You may think you plan enough, just enough to get you moving, and then just let it go. Let momentum kind of take you where it may, and plan a little more maybe, and whatever it may be. But as soon as that happened, I was like, well, I'm not going to flip any more whiskey barrels. I did this for a reason. Made enough money, got it down, got what I needed. I'm on to something else. And so, now I'm trying to work on how to better monetize the podcast. I think I'm going to have to lower my prices, which is totally fine. I think just getting momentum in a direction of income, is going to be helpful, and obviously allow those sponsors the opportunity to kind of share the podcast a little more and see where that goes. This is my creative outlet. It's never going to go anywhere, but I can definitely, after this episode, I've got pretty much only political episodes for people that are running for office that just want some airtime scheduled. Yeah. But no, I've got an idea in mind as to what I want to do. I think one of the first steps is all the episodes that I haven't cut, Elizabeth Dotson at Portable was the first one I ever cut up into clips. And I think she was like 15 or 16. And so all those prior episodes are still just full episodes. So I'm going to go back
and cut clips out
and
of
just
them.
drop clips, for the next couple months and not really have to record or kind of do what you're doing is really just do as it comes and cut some stuff up and put some clips out every now and then. And, but I really, I think, so this is, I was watching something the other day that was giving some statistics on podcasts, and it said, like 80% of the podcasts around the world stop after like 8 episodes. And then it said an additional, of that, 20% that's left, I think it was like 40 or 50% of those stop after 20 episodes. So you're pretty much in the top 1% if you've got over 30 episodes of a podcast. So I'm like, all right, sweet. And I'm still only getting like 100 listens total. It's like, whatever, I really don't care. But I'm like, okay, I've done something, in comparison to a whole global perspective, like seemingly I've accomplished something.
Absolutely.
I think it's time for a change as far as, not that I've run out of people that I want to talk to, and, I'll probably still continue to do long format conversational type things, but I think I've got about 15 diaries that I have been stacking up, and I was looking, they're just notebooks and spirals and just loose pieces of paper as thoughts come, like just all together on this bookshelf. And I was looking at them, and I was like, that's like 2,000 pages worth of shit. And I started flipping through them, and I was like, I could make little episodes out of this. Just go through, find, like if I had smoked a little bit or something before and I had a really cool idea, sometimes I read it the next day, it's like, nah, it was stupid. I shouldn't have, it doesn't make any sense. That. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense anymore. It sounded great at the time, but some of them are good. Or like some days if I come home after a long day, like just kind of getting my feelings out, whatever it may be, you could make some pretty cool 15, 20-minute clip episodes, or bring people in, like maybe reach out to you and say, hey, I'd like to do an episode on this specific thing, just get specific and, what are your thoughts on this? And, you think we could have a 15, 20-minute conversation. And I've got an option to do a call-in thing too, so you wouldn't have to come in here.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, and just have little center focus, like have an episode title, where focus goes, energy flows. What does that mean? Or maybe the importance of meditation, or the importance of just being in the moment and just having these little clips of, I don't know, inspirational things. And then you could use those on Instagram stories or whatever it may be, and they're a lot easier to share. Yeah,
a lot of information in a shorter period of time.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in the way that the world's going with the metaverse and everything else, that's
crazy,
isn't it?
Yeah. I've studied a little bit, but
way down.
My son.
Hey, do you have VR goggles at your house?
No, but my son wants some, so that's something we're discussing, I guess.
Sure.
We'll see. I've been on Oculus little thing. A friend of mine's got a headset. It's badass. It was unreal, man. It was like I had to walk a plank off of a building. Hell no, I ain't walking that plank. And you're in their living room, and you won't walk that plank.
The mind is incredible.
It is.
My son had to push me. I was at our farm, and I'd drawn that little thing, and he's like, "All right, Dad, push the elevator button." I was like, "Okay, here we go." Oh wow, this is neat. And then the doors open. I was like, "What the? Whoa!"
Yeah,
whoa.
Insane.
He was like, "All right, walk a little bit." I was like, "Okay," and my hands started sweating. They're sweating now thinking about it. And I was like, "I'm not doing this." And he just all of a sudden just pushes me, and my avatar falls to the ground. I'm like, "Okay, that was." But
what did you do?
Screamed like a little girl.
Yeah,
dude. I was like, "Oh!"
I did it to my wife. I pushed her. It was fun.
There's a theory that that's what life really is, though. Like, it's been so far advanced. So Ray Kurzweil, who was a major engineer for Google, is real big into the theory of singularity, which is the merger of biological human and AI. And he's got a couple books on it. I haven't really read them. I've kind of read the Cliff Note versions and listened to them a little bit on YouTube. But that technology has secretly gotten to that point already. Because you know what they say is like the technology we see now is, 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 years behind what the military already knows.
Yeah.
And what they've got. And that kind of like the movie The Matrix, we're all blue pilled at the moment, and that Oculus type technology is in essence blended with biological bodies of humans, and there's like a small film over your eye. Now Ray doesn't specifically get into that, but it kind of, there's some people that kind of branch off into the more deeper conspiracy part of it. That really is, everything is kind of just an Oculus type. We're all in this big Matrix type area. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, you just lost me.
I know. I lost myself when I was studying, and I was like, oh God, that was getting way too deep. But I could imagine, because they're already coming out with sunglasses, VR sunglasses that you can put on. So, it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, we're already, kind of merged with AI, with our cell phones and our computers.
That's been their plans this whole time.
It's been their plan this whole time. That's it, by God, we figured it out.
It is.
It seriously is. If you dig deep enough and read deep enough, it's extremely obvious. But, and there's this big push right now for a lot of people doing what you're doing, is saying screw the system, and you said that a while ago. You've always been an entrepreneur, but we've had the largest, I think this year was one of the largest ever in history, employee dropouts or amount of people that have quit major corporate or even really just daily 9 to 5 jobs to go do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
People are becoming less, trying to become less materialistic. There's a lot of people that are kind of going back to the basics and enjoying life just really for what it is and what they have, and not for what it's not and what they don't have. And like we were saying earlier, there's just so much material out there. There's just people telling you that you've got to have all this stuff to be happy.
You don't have to have no more than you want.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll always take whatever it'll make. Or how does it go? You'll always make what it'll take.
Yeah.
So if you want, $500,000 house and cars and whatever, you're going to make it to get it.
Something will show up, and you follow that vein.
Yeah. But I don't have a desire for that anymore, and I'm not saying I ever have.
Sure.
But I want to get down to a more minimal lifestyle.
Sure.
And just live over the next couple of years. So get the kids out of school is my goal. 2025, 2026, I think, is when my son will graduate.
Okay.
So that's our plans. Is 2025 is to start re-gearing our ideas for, not necessarily a restaurant industry, but getting our product out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the actual set-down restaurant industry is coming of a past. Yeah. Everybody wants it now. They want to be able to pull up to a window and leave and have their belly full.
Yeah.
We're going to a real fast-paced society.
Unfortunately. Because I don't like... sometimes you have to be fast-paced. Obviously, in the moment, there's a lot of those times. But, the energies of the world right now are weird. There's a big split of people that... just as we said, are either service to others or service to self. I think that's what this all boils down to.
Mm-hmm.
And those that are service to others are willing to go without. They're willing to give what they have enough of. They're not always wanting for more, and they're out for the betterment of the conscious collective in general. And then there's those that are still ruled by fear and hate and division and race and religion and sexuality and materialistic type stuff that don't seem to get it, that want it fast and want it now, and that is definitely a necessity. I think people are always dying for an experience, though, something different. I was talking about it the other day I had somebody ask me what I thought about sports. I haven't watched sports in 2 years. Watched them. I haven't cared about sports in a long time.
I've never cared about sports.
I played them, and I was pretty athletic, and even when I was playing, though, I never watched it. I didn't give a shit. The Titans, the one thing I do enjoy watching, and I still don't follow it, is hockey. Live, not on TV. I canceled Comcast. All I've got is internet. A little bit of Netflix and some Amazon, but that's it. But going to hockey games is great. I do enjoy that environment. It's just cold and it's rowdy and it's indoors and it's just neat. But I keep going back to this this whole Roman Empire day of bread and circus. It's give the people bread and circus and they will be distracted. It's when Caesar had something he wanted to do that may have not been the best thing, and he knew the people were going to revolt against it, he'd just throw something,
to get their
together.
attention.
Yeah, people bullfighting or death and blood and destruction and chaos, and everybody gets sucked into that kind of thing, and they don't pay attention to what life really is. And so I don't know if it's a negative outlook. It's my outlook that a lot of sports is just bread and circus in a lot of ways. There's a whole big community around it, and people are just overly obsessed about stats, which that may satisfy a need that they have, and that's great. But there's a lot more to life than that.
Absolutely.
The whole creativity over competition there's enough for everybody. I do like to be competitive in the moments because it helps you grow, but to the point to where you're hurting other people is not a desirable outcome.
No.
I'll say that. Cool. Well, we're at an hour and 5 minutes.
Right on.
Have you had a good time?
I have, bud.
Will mentioned he was a little nervous before we got on here.
Yeah, excited, nervous.
Antsy. It takes, I've noticed, for people that have never done a podcast or are not too terribly, you're a good speaker, and you're obviously used to being in front of people, running businesses and whatnot, but it takes about 15 or 20 minutes for people to kind of warm up, on the mic. Now, we can sit here and have a conversation, but as soon as the mic goes on, things kind of go back to where they started a little bit. But about 15, 20 minutes in.
Yeah, I was about 3 foot off the mic when we first started.
Yeah, now you're on it. You kind of get it. That's what
You're
post-recording edit is. Yeah, I was like, well, you got to get on the mic just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoy it, and I hope that the universe blesses you upon your endless journey of searching for whatever it is that makes Will happy.
Yep.
And Brittany.
Yeah, that's
and the kids.
looking forward to the next few years unfolding.
And you know what? That's what it's going to take. There's a couple content creators that I follow. They're just run-of-the-mill people, but they really, I don't know, I resonate with their message quite a bit. And you know as well as I do that sometimes it takes almost complete destruction to kind of get you into this mindset or this path. You have to almost lose everything in order to make room for everything, kind of deal. You have to be willing to give things up and let things be, and not hold on to grudges or regrets or anything like that, because you're filling your energy field with things that are not necessarily
needed.
Yeah, and then there's no room for the good to come in. Cool. All right. Well, enjoyed the conversation, bud. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me out.
I know you're not trying to do too much, but do you want to plug any socials or anything? Or
Smoking Willies.
just Google that.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Website sucks. we gotta get that up and going. But Smoking Willies. Look for us for catering and events over the next couple of years. We appreciate the support that we've gotten for the food truck and the restaurant. It's been a fun journey, and looking forward to the next couple of years, and we're really looking forward to 2025.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know what those big plans are yet, but they're going to be big.
They're going to fall into place. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah, it is.
Going into the unknown. It's kind of like, what is that? Frozen? Into the unknown.
Yeah.
Did you watch Frozen?
I'm not a movie guy.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah. That was one of the blessings I did when we opened the restaurant was turn off TV.
All together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stopped watching the
Isn't
news.
it crazy how like pandemics can end when you turn the TV off?
Everything ended.
Right?
Everything was fine.
Stress and blood and gore and everything. Death and destruction was no more.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, I've unplugged quite a bit from social media.
Yeah.
Here over the past 6 months I have.
Cool.
I don't have it on my phone to where I'm, I want to constantly check it.
Sure.
It's like, what the fuck's going on?
Make sure-
Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Nothing's
Oh, they're at
happened.
the beach. Great.
Yeah, nothing happened. So
Sure.
it's been fun talking with you today, buddy.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a chance to catch up.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for listening. Truly, truly appreciate it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Like I said, we're going to be making some changes on this. Send me a message. If you've got any thoughts as far as what you'd like to hear, any topics you'd like to hear on, because these hour-long episodes are a lot to take on, and I'm no Joe Rogan to where I've got a full staff, and I would really like to maybe start honing in the message. So if you've got anything that you want to hear about, if I don't know it, I know somebody that does. So I would love to, start putting out content that is something that you all would like to hear and hopefully enjoy. So just be sure to like, subscribe on that YouTube channel. It helps us out quite a bit, helps the sponsors out quite a bit. And hope you have a great rest of your day. Till next time, peace. Thanks again to Your Vibes Entertainment for sponsoring this episode. If you're looking to boost your revenue, showcase your company, or just want to provide high vibe entertainment for your family, friends, employees, or clients, please reach out to them directly on Facebook or Instagram at Your Vibes Entertainment. Shoot them an email at yventertainmentservicesllc@gmail.com, or give the owner Michael a call directly at 615-330-3236. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.